Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Inner Path podcast. I'm your host, Bia, and as always, I'm really excited to be here. Today, I'm going to be talking about comparison. This is something I know a lot of us struggle with. I personally have been struggling with this for the past month or so, especially for the past month or so. And I just really want to reflect on this with you, have a heart to heart, girl to girl kind of conversation, and just go in depth as to why it is so important that we keep this in check, that we are regulating ourselves enough to not constantly fall into this pattern, why it's something bad, why it's something negative and harmful in the first place, and just really have this conversation about comparing yourself and why we shouldn't. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Let's just jump right into it. I've been comparing myself a lot, and I noticed that when I started creating more content for my business, when I started posting more often, and just, when I'm posting, I'm always looking for audios to use, trends to do, just kind of ideas that I can also kind of recycle for my own videos, obviously with my own spin, and I like to be authentic. But TikTok, Instagram, you kind of have the same kind of videos or trends happening, audios, etc. And so I try to look for those because I want my reels to do as best as they can. And so I try to use things that are kind of going viral at the moment and all of that, while still remaining true to myself, which is in of itself, it's such a challenge, honestly. But let's not even go there. My point is, being on that scrolling pattern of just looking for stuff, it's very easy for me to start consuming other people's content, okay? Consuming other people's contents and start comparing myself. And it's not just about me as a businesswoman. It's about my own life. I love seeing, for example, traveling content because I love traveling, and I love the idea of having that location freedom, that I get to work online and be wherever I want to be. That's something that I love about my job. But, looking at these traveling accounts or just traveling content creators or whatever, it always makes me feel like I'm missing out. It always makes me feel like I'm just not living up to my fullest potential. It makes me feel like I'm not doing enough. And it really puts me on this spiral of being like, why can't I be like them? Or why can't I have what they have? Or will I ever get there? And these are thoughts that I have constantly, especially when I'm consuming this content. So that's the first thing that I started realizing, is that there are specific things that trigger this need to compare myself. And consuming content is such a big one. And I know a lot of us relate to this when we're consuming content, even if it's fashion related, whatever it is, we're just like, oh my God, I gotta have that. I gotta have that. I gotta live that way. I also have to do this and that, and I have to go to that place and that place, and maybe I need to earn as much money, or maybe this should be my lifestyle. And sometimes deep down, those are not things that we actually want, but because we're seeing these people and they seem to have an awesome time while they're doing these things, they seem that they're always on this high vibe type of energy. They're always happy, they're always excited, and we obviously feel that through the screen, through the videos that they show. We're excited too, and we're like, oh my God, I want to live this way. But the truth is, that is such a small percentage of the reality of what goes on behind the cameras. And I'm not trying to throw shit at them, because the truth is, we do that. We share the highlights of our life because, other moments are intimate. Even some highlights we don't share because they're so intimate. Especially when we feel the most vulnerable, it's normal that we don't feel comfortable sharing those things. As a content creator, as a mentor, as someone that, inspires people, that impacts other people, especially in their 20s, I know that I have that role of also making sure that I show that side of my life. And that's why I have the podcast. That's why I do the content that I do. And I try to be as vulnerable as I can with you guys, because I know it is important. I know not a lot of people are willing to do it. And again, I'm not saying that they're bad for that. I'm not trying to judge them for it. I understand it's hard being, feeling exposed to the things that you're more insecure about, to the things that still scare you, to the things that still hurt you. And when you are exposing that, you feel very vulnerable because it's your wounds, it's things that are very intimate for you. And if someone judges you or someone rejects you when you're at the most vulnerable moment, it is very hard, it is very painful. And so every time as content creators, every time we share like those vulnerable things, it's scary. Like it's very scary. And so I understand why people are not often showing things like that. I try to, and I'm sure there's so many things that I could share more, but I don't because I'm either afraid or because I genuinely know that I need to keep that to myself, right? But my point being, we see these highlights of other people's lives and we're like, I want to live like them. But the truth is, we don't even understand what that means because these traveler content creators, like, they look like they're having an amazing time all the time, but that's also not true. I mean, sure, they're enjoying a lot of the time, they're having adventures, they're meeting new people, but they're also like sitting at a desk a lot of hours so that they can create content, so that they can work and earn money for those trips. Like, there's so much that goes behind that. Like, for example, when you see content of relationship coaches, you see people have these like beautiful wholesome relationships and you're like, oh my god, why am I single? Or why is my relationship not like that? But the truth is, there's so much that exists like outside of that, outside of those a few second videos, or outside of what they show you. Again, not coming from a bad place, but just because life is so, like, there's so much duality in life. There's so much to life. It's not always good, it's not always bad. There's always kind of a mixture of both. In those beautiful relationships, there's a lot of inner work that goes into it. And I can tell you from a place of, first of all, I've been in my own relationships, and second of all, with my best friend, we have been through so many ups and downs. Like, we have learned and grown with each other. We have healed through so much, and that took time. And our relationship, to this day, we still struggle with things. We still sometimes fail to communicate in the best way. We're still learning to overcome certain obstacles in the relationship, and that is perfectly normal. And people outside of this container, which is our relationship, might think, oh my god, they're amazing, they have this crazy friendship. Like, they don't know what goes on inside. They don't know what it takes for us to build that. Like, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of consistency, it takes a lot of discomfort too, because you need to do your shadow work, do your inner work. You need to be okay with feeling triggered sometimes, which we do because we are so different. And those are things that you guys might not see from the outside. And with fashion the same way. Like, you might see the person have these like crazy awesome outfits. First of all, you don't even know what is happening for them to have that. Like, I know people that dress amazingly well and their bank account is literally like dead. I know people that dress amazingly well and they're constantly struggling with money. They're not making good decisions. Their mental health is crazy bad. I know people that dress really well, but also don't dress really well all the time. Like, there's just so much that goes into it. And ultimately, all this content that we consume, it always makes us feel like we're not enough. And we feel that way because, again, it's the comparison. When we start comparing ourselves, it ultimately leads us to this place of, I'm not enough, I suck, I'm a failure and I'm failing at life, or I'm behind and I can't catch up, I'm too late. Like, whatever it is that we tell ourselves when we start comparing ourselves, even if we're not really aware of this, because that's the thing. As you're scrolling and it's like 5-second videos, 15-second videos, you're not even consciously thinking about this, but in your subconscious mind, every time you see someone else live this apparently amazing life, you wonder, why can't I have that? Like, why am I not like that? Or like, what do I need to be like that? Or like, these questions happen inside of us. And personally, to me, they happen a lot. I don't know about you guys, but they happen a lot to me because, I've been thinking and I've been reflecting on this a lot lately. But as I was growing up, I remember, especially my mom, she would always compare me to other people, like so much. I remember that in school, I needed to be the greatest student, the best student. Because if there were people with better grades than me, then I wasn't doing good enough. Like, they would always compare me to everyone as a way to decide or understand if I was doing well or not. And I think back, even like school itself kind of uses systems like that, right? But but if you think about it, it really like creates this belief that you need to compare yourself to other people in order to assess how good you're actually doing. And that is so wrong, that is just so wrong. Because yes, obviously, I'm not saying completely isolate yourself from, just checking in with others and seeing what they're doing. Maybe you can do better. Like, if you want to improve, obviously, you can also take other people's examples. And that's not what I mean. But what I mean is, ultimately, you need to understand that your path is your path and their path is their path. And that's something that I'm constantly reminding myself of. It's like my journey might look the same of like someone else's, might look the same, might sound the same, everything looks the same, everything feels like it's the same, but it is not the same. Like, me and my best friend, we have very very similar paths in terms of our business, in terms of our growth and healing. We are completely different people, but we usually, we tend to have that comparison, and we have struggled with that too. And I'm going to do an episode with her on the podcast to talk about all these things, because I think it is important. But my point being that, I've compared myself to her so many times, to my own friends, because I see what they're doing. And if, for example, if she had more clients than me at a specific time, I thought I was failing. But when I look back, I understand, like, I needed to not have clients at that time, where I needed to be on the journey that I was in, because I was going towards this direction. Like, you cannot compare yourself to someone else, or at least you cannot compare your journey to someone else's, in the sense of, it is not the same journey. It is not the same obstacles. It is not the same baggage. It is not the same anything. Like, it's a completely unique journey to you. You are so unique, and we don't recognize this that often, like, we know this kind of, but we don't. I think deep down there's a part of us that doesn't understand this concept, because for so long we have been conditioned to feel like we're all the same, because we were evaluated in the same ways. Like, it didn't matter if you were unique, if you had your unique way of learning, or your unique way of, speaking or doing maths or whatever it was. You were evaluated in the same way. You were taught the same way. And I think subconsciously that might affect how we perceive this concept of being unique. When there's literally no one like you on this planet. Like, not one single person like you, exactly like you. You can find someone that feels like it's very similar. You can find someone you're like, oh my God, this is my doppelganger, but I swear they are not you. And this is something, again, that I'm constantly struggling with, because as I am scrolling, as I am seeing other people thrive, and I'm happy that they are, I'm happy that people are happy. I'm happy that my friends are succeeding in life. But there is that voice within me, and I'm just being fully honest about this, because we need to, because it's not something that we should villainize. It's not something that we should demonize or whatever. Like, it's normal. We are humans. And as a human, I love seeing my friends succeed, but there is a part of me that feels bad for myself, or that feels angry at it, not because of them, but because how it makes me feel. Because their success in my subconscious mind somehow means my failure. It means that I should be doing better, that I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And honestly, that concept just doesn't exist. If you've heard this podcast for long enough, you already know that, like, there's a process to your growth. There is a process, and if you are dedicated, if you are truly dedicated and devotional towards the process of your growth and your expansion and your healing, there is no way you can get it wrong. Because as soon as you decide that you are on this journey, everything that you go through is just another way for you to learn what you need to learn. It's just another tool, it's just another lesson, but all of it is so necessary for the journey that you're on. Nothing is a waste, nothing is a failure, really, because all of it is part of that process. Like, it's a whole other thing when you're not really conscious about yourself, or what you're not really self-aware, so you're just living in this loop, this pattern. That's a whole other thing for sure. But I'm talking about the people like you guys, that I'm sure you're sitting there and you're like, I want to have a better life, I want to love myself, I want to heal, I want to do whatever it takes. Like, I want to do the work that will make me feel better and will make me live the life that I desire. I know that's you. I know you that are listening. Like, I know it's you. And for you, I tell you, you do not need to worry about like failing or not, because if you are committed to this, you can't fail. You can learn, make mistakes, and figure it out as you go, but all of it will add up to your successes too. Like, if I hadn't gone through the uncertainty in my business, I also would not have the clarity that I have today about who I'm speaking to, what type of programs I want to create, who I want to be in my business, how I want to feel in my business. Like, all those things, I had to not have that clarity. Because when you're lost, when you're in the process of uncertainty, that's when you make the powerful questions. Like, that's when you ask yourself, who am I? What do I really want? What makes me happy? If you were always in the clear and it was always super obvious, you would never ask yourself those questions. And so you would never be fully aligned with your authentic self. There wouldn't be any purpose, because the purpose is when you find your why. And how can you find something if you've always had it? You know what I mean? Like, that moment where you feel the most lost is the opportunity for you to find everything that you've been looking for. And this is obviously, I'm going on a tangent, but I just, I'm here to have a girls talk, and I just really want to explore all this with you, because I constantly find myself comparing, and it's been really draining, like emotionally draining, because when you're comparing yourself, you stop doing you. You stop being who you need to be in order to get where you can go. Because if you're trying to be like everyone else, even if it's not consciously, but subconsciously, you're like, how could I be more like them? Or maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe being me isn't enough. Maybe like the business that I have right now isn't good. Maybe I should have another idea. Maybe I should do this in a different way. And it always comes from a place of feeling like you're not enough, because again, there's a difference between wanting to evolve, like genuinely wanting to grow as a person because you're capable of more, and because you can achieve things, but still being in your truth, still being grounded in that, knowing that like you will lead yourself from a place of integrity. That's a different thing from not feeling good enough. And so just trying everything to kind of soothe that feeling of, I suck, I'm a failure, I can't do this. And that's something that I needed to check in with myself. I wanted to ignore it. That's the thing when we're having these, like, let's say heavier thoughts. It's so easy for us to want to ignore it, want to run away from it, and we just keep scrolling. We just keep like ignoring it and just finding distractions, whatever that is. It might be watching too much TV, or hanging out with friends too often, or scrolling on your phone, literally like anything else but sitting with yourself and being like, okay, I'm comparing myself a lot. Okay, I haven't been feeling great. What is up? Like, what is up, Bia? What is happening? Like, share with me. I'm here now. I'm ready to listen. What is happening? Like, what do I need to do? Or how am I not showing up for myself? And I realized that I was so consumed with this idea of everyone else is doing so much better than me, even although they're my age. And I'm like, maybe I'm behind, maybe I'm late for this. And just I really needed to sit down, and thankfully my best friend is also always here for me, and that's why community is so important. That's why I created the Goddess Codes in the first place, you know, because I know community is important. Because if I was alone on this, I swear I don't know how long I would have been on this loop. I was completely just overwhelmed and almost drowning in these thoughts. And she kind of pulled me back up, and it was like, whoa, 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 bitch. Like, let's check in. Like, something is not good. And we started talking, and we had a conversation that led to me doing some journaling, sitting with my emotions, and suddenly I was working through that, and it made me feel better because I suddenly realized, like, I'm not lost. I am not lost. Even when you feel lost, it is still part of the process. So in theory, you are not fully lost. Even when you feel like you have no idea who you are not lost, not fully, not literally. Because if there's a way for you to find yourself, if there's a way for you to get back to that feeling of, I am me, I am here, I am present, I am whole, I belong to myself. Like, if there's that chance, which there always is, you're not actually lost. You're just in the process of, you know, figuring it out. Like, it's a bit dark, but then the sun comes up and you're like, oh my God, I know exactly where I am, you know? Like, that's the feeling. And so I just needed to step back, and I realized, oh my God, like, I've been comparing myself so much, and that's been triggered by all of this, like, TikTok consumption and Instagram consumption of just like watching too many videos. And some of them, it was for entertainment. I wasn't even realizing how much it was impacting me, but it was. And I was just like, I just released so much in that moment. I just took a deep breath, and I was like, I'm okay. Like, I'm actually okay. I've just been overthinking so much because of this comparison. I didn't realize that I know I am exactly where I need to be. Because as soon as that noise goes away, you find inner stillness, and you find that sense of, I always say this, like an inner knowing, right? It's like your higher self, the connection that you have to your heart, to your spirit. When you find that stillness, that mindfulness, that presence of, I am here right now, and as I'm sitting on this chair, or as I'm walking my dog, or as I'm like breathing this like air, I know I am whole. And I know that I am in the process, and I know that process is happening. And maybe tomorrow I won't have, you know, €1,000,000, and I won't have everything that I ever wanted. But I know that is happening. I'm not just talking about the €1,000,000. I'm talking about, like, you know, having the relationship I desire, having the friendships I want, having the business I envision. Like, all these things are already happening. Something that I said in my membership in the Goddess Codes a while ago, actually, was, when you are growing a tree, you know, you put the seeds in the soil, and you water it, right? And then you start seeing a sprout. You look at the sprout, and instead of realizing that's the tree, you cut the sprout because you think that's not what you want. Meaning, now when I look at my business from a place of a higher knowing, instead of from a place of overthinking, comparing myself to people that have been doing this for years, for many more years than I have, and that have just, in general, they just have a different journey than I do. And so I look at my sprout, and I'm like, no, this is not what I want. I'm in the wrong place. I'm doing this all wrong. I need to start over. I need to, you know, we just like completely discard where we're at, not recognizing that this is the path that will lead to the fucking tree. Like, this is the path that will lead to the fruit, to the harvesting season, like, to the harvest season. Like, that is the path. You are already sprouting your tree. Like, you're already doing that. As soon as you decide that that's the path that you're committed to, as soon as you're like, there is no fucking way, I'm not doing this, and I'm not, like, I know that no matter how hard it is, there is no way I will ever choose anything else unless I feel called to choose anything else from a place of, you know, I feel passionate about something, I discovered something new. But I mean, I will never go back to an old way of living. I will never like go back to, oh, okay, so I'm gonna settle for like working at a random company and doing something that I'm not passionate about. Like, I already know I'm so committed to this journey, and I'm so committed to living a life that I like and that I enjoy, that I know that's not even an option. Like, it's not at all. Because if there's something that I value, it's my quality of life. It's like looking at the average of my life and understanding, am I doing things that feel meaningful to me? Am I enjoying myself? Am I passionate about what I'm doing, etc., right? And so I know there's no way I would ever settle. And knowing that, then I have to trust that the sprout that is coming out of the soil is the tree that I'm growing. And I trust that because, or I'm learning to trust that. Maybe that's the actual truth, because sometimes I don't. Sometimes I fear, sometimes I wonder if I'm doing things wrong. But the thing is, even if you do realize that you're doing something wrong, even if you realize that you need to shift, whatever it is, like, you're gonna realize that that is also part of the journey. That is still the sprout growing into the tree. That is your life's journey. That is your life's journey, and as your path continues, it's like learning to embrace where you're at, which is really hard. It's something that I'm constantly working on. It's like, it's really being present and embracing your process, loving where you're at, knowing that you want to be somewhere else eventually, knowing that this moment right now is leading to the next one and the next one and the next one. But finding ways to appreciate where you're at as much as you can, because then you're just living like to this idea that one day you're going to be happy, or one day you're going to feel fulfilled, or one day you're going to be enough, when in reality that's not fucking true. It's not. So I'm constantly thinking like, okay, yeah, I want to have all the financial freedom, and I want to have all the financial abundance, and I want to have a lot of people that listen to the podcast, that, watch my stuff, that like feel inspired by me, that I impact. I want to have a lot of clients. I just want to have a big community around me in terms of like my online community. I want to have all those things. But can I just appreciate where I am? I'm recording this podcast. I am doing it. I am taking steps. I am creating content that I love. I am connecting with people that are amazing. I am building the community. I am meeting friends. Even the people that are not necessarily my private clients, I am impacting, even if I didn't realize it always. Like, I'm already receiving messages from people saying, you're so inspiring, your content and your podcast, it inspires me so much. Thank you. And I'm just like, because sometimes I forget. Sometimes I'm so focused on where I think I should be or where I want to go, that I forget that I'm already doing so well. Like, I'm already so committed to this journey. I'm already growing so much. Like, if I look at where I was a year ago, like, that was not me. And I'm proud of where I am. Like, I'm proud of who I'm becoming. Something that I don't know where I heard this, but it's not about where you go and what you achieve necessarily. It's about who you become in the process. And I do fully relate to that, because I genuinely love the person that I'm becoming. Like, day by day, I feel like I'm growing. I feel like I'm becoming someone that I'm genuinely proud of. I'm genuinely proud to be the person that I am, which doesn't mean that I also don't question sometimes whether I'm doing enough or being enough. And that comes a lot from comparison. And honestly, I'm not just even talking about comparison in terms of like your career. That's what's been true to me lately. But I've also compared myself, for example, in terms of like my body, my physical beauty, my level of attraction. Like, am I a 10? Am I a 6? Am I like those things? Like, okay, like, honestly, drop that, please. It's just not healthy. But for real, like, this happens in so many other areas of our lives too. For me, that's a big one too. Like, comparing myself to other women. I'm sure a lot of us relate to this too. It's like, oh my God, like, she has like a better butt, or she has like bigger boobs, or she has, a flatter belly, or whatever it is. And we're just like, At least this is how it feels to me. I don't know if anyone else sees it this way. I don't know if it's because I'm a Leo. I don't know if I'm just someone that has deep insecurities deep down. But when I find someone prettier than me, like when I find a girl prettier than me, and I'm like in a room full of people, but there's someone prettier than me, I swear, like immediately my confidence like goes through like the ground and just like level, I don't know, negative 1,000 or something. I swear. And I feel like again it's the comparison. It's the feeling like if there's someone better or that I perceive as being better, because sometimes they're not really doing better. Maybe someone is making a lot more money than I am and having a business that apparently looks amazing, but maybe deep down they're like going through depression, or they hate what they're doing, like, because that's the thing you don't know, especially with social media. But if my perception of their lives, of that person, like makes me feel like they're better somehow than me in some area, then I feel like I suck. Like there's no in between. It's not like, they're better at this and I'm better at other things. Like it's not like I suck, you know? And it sucks that I feel that way. It is getting better, but it's something that I still struggle with, and it's something that we constantly need to like know how to navigate. And that's why, learning to regulate your nervous system, learning to navigate your emotions, that's why it's so important. Because as you are working on these beliefs, as these thoughts are coming in, and you're just like being flooded with these images or thoughts or whatever, you need to learn how to balance it with your consciousness, if that makes sense. Because you can't necessarily just erase those thoughts. It's not like oh, let's just think about something new, that's it. Like you need to work on like teaching your thoughts something new, if that makes sense. Like you teach your mind something new. So if I'm feeling like I'm not good enough because I'm seeing someone else supposedly do better, I talk to myself. I say like, okay, let's take a few deep breaths and let's just realize that where I am is enough, and where I am is my journey, and my journey in nature is perfect, because nature is perfect. Like literally everything that happens in nature has a purpose. Like, my path is perfect, especially because I know I'm committed. So there's no way I'm failing. I'm figuring it out, and everyone else is too. And this is what I don't see enough online, and I hope that I can be that person for you. Like we are all figuring it out. I swear to you guys, it doesn't matter how much money they have, doesn't matter how much fame, how many followers, like how much whatever. Like we are all figuring it out. That's literally what life is about. It's constantly figuring it out, learning, relearning, unlearning. It's like it's a journey, it's a process. And so when I find these thoughts, I talk to my best friend, because thank God she exists. Like I swear, she is amazing. I really don't know how I would deal with these things without her support too. Again, community is important. Please put yourself in spaces, put yourself in rooms where you feel like you're being heard, like you are believed in. Because if you doubt yourself and the people around you doubt you too, that's not going to help you at all. So put yourself in rooms that, make you believe in yourself, that make you remember who you actually are and how powerful you can be, how brave you can be. That is so important. And so I check in with her, and then I journal about it. I understand what is behind my thoughts, because for me, journaling is just not about, I'm feeling this way and that's it. Like I explore it. I completely go full circle with it. So I start with, okay, I've been thinking about the fact that I'm not enough. So I ask myself, okay, why am I feeling this way? So I go in that loop, and I go on that kind of circle, and I just go deeper and deeper into that question, into that thought, until I find my way back into why I am enough. Like I start kind of deconstructing the thought, deconstructing the belief, and then I don't stop journaling until I feel this sense of like I'm grounded again, I feel whole again, and I know what is happening, Like I feel this inner knowing in me again. Like I feel like I've tapped into that inner wisdom. That's when I stop the journaling session, and that's when I'm like, okay, I'm done for the day. Let's just relax and chill. Because that was a big energy release. But But yeah, like that's kind of how I've been navigating it. And this is not something that you just do once, by the way. I always say this, but the healing journey, any journey, is a lifelong journey. Let me tell you that. Growth and healing and expansion, that's something that if you're committed to, like, it will take time, and that is okay. And so it's not something that you're just gonna tap into once or address once and that's it and it's fixed. Like suddenly you're all healed and all, like that's not gonna happen, and that's okay. This is where we need to also learn to embrace that process in our humanness. We are human beings. We are not supposed to be perfect. We are supposed to be we are a mess in the best way, like in a beautiful way, but we are messy, like nature. Like nature is beautiful, but nature can be deadly, you know, like nature can literally kill you. Like, you know, you go into the ocean and you're at the beach, like it's beautiful, but people drown in it, you know, there's sharks and there's scary things underneath. And nature works like that because that's the universe. There's duality, there's all the spectrum of our reality that we need to learn to embrace, because worse than not feeling like you're good enough and comparing yourself is being ashamed for not feeling good enough and comparing yourself. And believe me, I'm talking like with experience, because that's much better now, but I've also struggled like feeling shame or guilt or anger for my own feelings, right? And it doesn't help. So learning to also like embrace it, learn to love it, learn to accept it, and understand that it's just as okay and it's just as valid as all the other good things, let's say, you know, quote unquote, all the other good parts, all the other good emotions. And yeah, just really embracing the process. That's where I've been at. And it's no easy journey. Sometimes I really spiral and I'm like, oh my God, when will I ever feel like I'm enough? Or when will I ever feel like I've done enough in my business, in my life? But the truth is, if you are chasing the feeling of being good enough, you will never find it. So this works with healing in general. Like if you're searching for someone that shows you that you're lovable, you'll not find it, because even if someone loves you to death, I swear it won't feel fulfilling. It will not feel that void within you that does not know how to love you. Does that make sense? And I feel like I need to learn how to love that part of me, because if I'm just trying to chase a fix, you know, like a quick fix to it, if I'm just trying to chase something because I feel like that's the like savior, that's like solution to my problems, I don't think I will ever find it. And so a lot of my journey has been finding what I need to find right now in order to feel whole, complete, enough, lovable, abundant, all those things, instead of waiting for something to happen, instead of waiting for me to achieve something, instead of all of those things. I'm just like, let me look for it now. Where can I find that now? How can I feel all these things right now in this moment? And I think when I make that shift, I instantly feel better. Like, and I don't mean just better. I mean, I feel complete. Like at that point, I finally realized like there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing more that I need. Like I am genuinely fully whole. That sense of wholeness is really good. And I always find or try to find ways to like to come back to that feeling, because I know that from that place I create not just content but my life, you know, my life's creations. I create from a better place. I create from a place of integrity, authenticity, love instead of fear. Because when you're in the comparison mode, which a lot of us are, it's fear. It's fear. Ultimately, it's fear that we're not enough. It's fear that if we are ourselves, that we're going to fail in life, in relationships, whatever it is. And so, yeah, you know, I would advise you, and this is my personal advice from, you know, my place of I am figuring it out, but what I've seen that works for me and for other people around me is just being very conscious of when you're comparing yourself, when you're feeling like you're not good enough and why. And especially with the comparison is if you can cut it down. Like for example, I'm noticing that I'm comparing myself a lot when I'm watching a lot of videos, so I'm cutting that away. Like I don't need it, first of all. I don't need that at all. So I'm just like making sure that I'm limiting my usage of seeing other people's content because I know that I will engage in that comparison automatically. I know that. So I would rather do it from a different place. And for example, I sometimes watch my friends' stories, like Instagram stories, and I start comparing myself, even if I don't mean to. Like sometimes it's not even a conscious thought. It's not like, oh, they're doing so well. Like it's just a feeling. Suddenly, it's just, I feel like there's a hurt feeling in my heart. It's not even a thought sometimes, or it doesn't feel like a very clear thought. It's more that suddenly it feels like someone is stabbing me. And I'm like, ugh, because that triggers that feeling of I'm not enough. And the thing is, sometimes it's not that the person is doing crazy much better than me. If in my perception they're doing a little better, I swear I like suddenly put them on a pedestal and they're like the best and I'm the worst. And I know things don't work like that. I know I'm doing really well. Like I'm so proud of where I am. And I'm so proud of everything that I've been achieving lately and the choices that I've been making in my business, in my life. Like I'm really proud of that, Like I'm really choosing myself in a way that I never thought I could. And yet, there's so many moments that I feel like I should be doing a little more. Like working a little harder. Because if someone else is working harder than me, then I feel like I'm lazy. If someone else looks prettier than me, then I feel like I should be prettier and I should work out more. If someone else is like having more success in their business or has more followers, then I feel like I should try to create viral content. And I'm always seeing this, okay, I will be enough once I am like someone else, which is crazy. And I think it comes from a place, and I was just talking about this with my best friend, it comes from a place of fearing being mediocre and never amounting to my potential. Because when I see what other people are achieving, and this is just coming through, I think I see some of the potential some of the things that I can reach, I see it in them. Like the confidence, the success, the money, all of those things. I feel like the reason why it impacts me so much is because deep down, I see that I can achieve those things. I feel that. I feel that in my heart that can be mine too. That is mine too. And so I feel like deep down I'm just projecting. That's why it affects me so much, because automatically I separate myself from the things that I want to achieve because I'm seeing them in someone else. And suddenly I stop recognizing them in myself, if that makes sense. I don't know. That was just a thought that came through. I'm a philosopher. I like to philosophize, you know what I mean? And so I guess that was it. But yeah, that is it. Guys, I would really love for you to like DM me on Instagram. Share with me where you've been comparing yourself, how that makes you feel. I just love having conversations with you on my DMs. So please make sure to do that. Follow the podcast if you don't already, because I'm releasing episodes every Thursday, always, like religiously every Thursday. And make sure that you tag me on your Instagram stories to make sure that I know that you're listening, because I love seeing you guys. And talk to you very, very soon, guys. Bye.